Buying a sim racing steering wheel can be a really difficult process, and I don't want you to be going out there wasting your money or getting something that you weren't expecting. There's so much choice these days, so many different materials and sizes and form factors, different manufacturers. In this video, I'm going to let you know the ins and outs when it comes to buying a sim racing steering wheel. Now, I want to start by saying that not all of these products I purchased with my own money, but I always review them like I have. So some of these I bought with my own cash, some have been provided to me by the manufacturer, but none of the manufacturers are watching this video. It's not sponsored by the manufacturers. This video is actually sponsored by GT Omega, who make amazing racing gaming chairs as well, and office chairs. This is a GT Omega Elements chair that I actually use day in, day out to sit at and sit on my laptop and do all my work. So go check out gtomega.com if you're looking for office chairs, gaming chairs. They do the rigs as well that I use, and you can actually use the code Kireth5 at checkout and you're going to get yourself 5% off. I use GT Omega for all this kind of stuff. Can't really go wrong. Go check them out, gtomega.com. But going back to the video, I want to talk about materials first. This is the first and foremost thing that really should be your concern, in my opinion, because it separates the sort of faux leather that we see from most wheels, or the rubberized grips, and Alcantara. This is an Alcantara wheel. I actually did buy this wheel, and I don't really like Alcantara. This might be a controversial opinion, but I want you to know that if you buy an Alcantara steering wheel, if you do not use gloves, the natural oils in your hand, my hands don't seem that oily, but the natural oils in the hands over time will break down this material and make it really not nice. There are images online of people that have used Alcantara wheels without using gloves and they end up sort of ruined and manky and not very nice. Now, when I'm using this wheel, I do wear my Adidas karting gloves, and I personally, it's personal preference, I don't really like it. I don't want to wear gloves when I'm sim racing. When I go karting, I have my overalls, my helmet, my gloves, that's fine. But when I'm sim racing, I just want to jump on and race. So do not get an Alcantara rim, in my opinion, unless you're happy to wear gloves. Some people like the Alcantara feel, like you get on some race seats as well. I personally don't understand it because I'm wearing gloves when I'm holding it, so I can't feel the nice Alcantara. You can see this one looks pretty good because I always wear gloves, but Alcantara, you've got to understand. Now, the other materials you get are sort of faux fake leather. This is a Logitech wheel. It's got the faux leather. It's got some stitching as well. And this is the Moser, very similar. Now, this is often similar materials that you might get in steering wheels in real world cars. Leather, this sort of faux leather is absolutely fine, but I have to say, I actually prefer the sort of rubberized grips that you get in some of the GT3 and Formula wheels. So you can see here, the rubberized grips here. If you had to guess how many or how long I use this rim, you might look at it and say, yeah, he used it a couple of times or for a couple of weeks. I use this rim day in, day out as a content creator, streamer for over a year. This thing I used every day for over a year. You can tell because I've actually worn away the paint on the shifters, which is pretty crazy, but you wouldn't be able to tell from the rubber grips. They look absolutely brand new. And you're locked in day out. I've done an 8-hour race in a row. I sat in my rig and I raced for 8 hours for charity with this thing. So I actually recommend rubberized grips. I don't recommend the Alcantara, and the leather sits somewhere in the middle. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is form factor. Obviously, you can see that this McLaren rims is a different form factor, but let's talk about wheels. If I put these two wheels together, this is a Logitech Pro direct drive wheel, and this is the Moser wheel that comes with the direct drive R5, you can see that the Moser is a little bit smaller, and that actually has an effect. The effect is that the Moser feels very tight and sort of go-kartish and arcadey a little bit to use, not in a bad arcadey way, but I mean, you know when you go to the arcades and they've got those small steering wheels, it feels like that. So with Moser, you get a smaller one here, but any other rim that you're choosing, just bear in mind, if you choose a smaller rim, it's going to feel a lot tighter. You'll actually feel the force feedback more, in my opinion. If you get a larger rim, it's a little bit more relaxing. You have sort of wider movements. It's not just so condensed in the middle when you're sort of in a neutral position. So just bear that in mind. You can see also that both of these rims have a flatted out bottom part of the rim. Some people like that, some people don't. Some people really like a circular rim. When do you want a circular rim? You want a fully circular rim like this if you're going to be doing drifting or rallying, because then you're going to be really ungripping and gripping the wheel at all sorts of unusual points. Now, my preferred form factor for a rim is actually this, the GT3 style rim, and I've got another one in for review that I can't show you, but it's absolutely insane. I'm looking at it right now. I think even better than this McLaren GT3 rim. But I love the GT3 form factor. I love having my hands locked in, because when I'm locked in like this, I can make really precise adjustments in the cornering phrase. And you'll often see me when I'm streaming with a rim like this, I'll go in, and if I've apexed a little bit too early, I'll just go like that and come in again really precisely. That's more difficult to do on a rim like this, because on a rim like this, you get to points where you need to shuffle your hand around the rim, and suddenly you lose, for me, you lose that precision. So it can kind of be more fun to go around and drift like this. If you were playing a game like Grand Theft Auto, for example, and just chilling and driving around, I would recommend a rim like this all day, because it's a round rim and it's kind of fun. But if you want to be really precise in sports cars, GT3 cars or Formula cars, I really recommend getting a rim like this. This also really covers sort of Formula 1 cars as well, these sort of rims. Now the other thing to talk about is compatibility. So what we've got here is we've got Fanatec, we've got Moser, and we've got Logitech. These rims will not work on each other's wheelbases. So it might sound stupid, but if you have a Fanatec wheelbase, don't get a Moser rim. You need to stay in your ecosystem. That might affect what ecosystem you want to go into. For example, at the moment, this is the only rim you get in Logitech. As soon as that changes, I will be the first to review it and I will let you know. But this is the only rim you get there. In Fanatec, you get a wide ecosystem of rims, and Moser actually starting to do an ecosystem as well with Formula style rims and things like that. So just bear that in mind. There's also things like console compatibility that can get quite funky. You see these Fanatec rims, they both have a Xbox button, so these are compatible on Xbox, but if your wheelbase is PS compatible, then you can use them on PlayStation as well. This Logitech is PlayStation and PC, and this Moser one is only PC. So lots of stuff to look into. Now the final thing I wanted to mention was shifters. These are arguably the most important thing actually after the sort of wheels shape and size itself. Shifters, if you're using manual gears, which if you're getting a wheel like this, you're probably going to be using manual gears, are so important. And they're very divisive. These are the shifters on the McLaren GT3 rim. They're quite boomy. Some people hate this, some people love it. I really like these ones. And by the way, on this sort of shape, when you go up a gear here, it hits you back here, so it's connected. You can also therefore go the other way if you want to do that. But that's the kind of shifters there. The worst shifters I have on this table are by far, in my opinion, the Fanatec WRC rim. Absolutely terrible shifters. Like just spongy, not clicky, not really clear when you shift it at all. And then if you go to something like the Logitech has quite good shifters. Here how clicky it is. And it's got magnets here, so they're magnetic shifters, so it gives you that snap. A lot of these wheels also have clutch paddles. I don't really use clutch paddles, but if you're someone that is unable to use a throttle or a brake, like a regular throttle brake, you can actually map it here. So if you've got some disabilities maybe, or you can't reach your pedals, or the pedals are not fixed enough, you can actually do it here as well on the clutch paddles. But make sure you check out the shifters as well. Look at reviews for the shifters. But by the way, please subscribe to this channel if this has helped you. Hit that like button as well. Let me know in the comments if you've got any questions about sim racing wheel rims. It's an absolute minefield. I really hope this video has helped you. And yeah, this is first of many. I've reviewed all these rims on the channel, so I'll link these at the end. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.